Your Christmas,
Doing near your candles.
Oh,
hello and welcome. You're very welcome to Broadsheet on the Telly Xmas special. My name is John Preposterous Ryan. Welcome. We've had a slight accident just before we started. Before we started there's a fire in one of the panel's houses. So anyway, you're very welcome. Just very quickly, the panel tonight initially will consist of Johnny Keenan and Kilkenny and Neil Curran, who's producing the show in Dublin, and Vanessa Foran, who had the Inferno with a Christmas candle. Okay, so okay, we've had a really
Christmas tree.
Huh?
We had Christmas tree. Sorry, John.
Not at all. Not at all. It's a good omen, they say.
The fumes.
Anyway, you're very, very welcome to join us. This is a kind of an unusual show, which is being produced by Neil Curran. Before that, I want to wish I don't know why we're so early, because we're on the show next Thursday and probably the Thursday after. So, but this was Neil's idea, so it's on his shoulders. I just want to wish everybody a really very, very happy Christmas. Tough year for certainly tough year news-wise and in other ways. And thank you for everything and all your support. And that's from myself and Niall Murphy and Olga Cronin and everybody at the Sheet. John Moynes, everybody. I've come up with some further names, but I just want to wish everybody a very, very happy Christmas, everyone involved at the site, and to thank everybody for the year. So over to Neil, who's producing this shambolic event, please. Yeah.
Thanks, John. I like the way you trust a man who's got a pair of someone's pants on his head. So we're going to try and keep in a positive mood tonight. We're going to try and be nice. We'll see how long it lasts. So it's all about Christmas this week, and I guess I'm interested in finding out what Christmas means to you guys. Because John, you're living in a faraway land, much further than Tala, so maybe give us a sense of what Christmas is like where you are and what it means to you.
To me.
Yeah.
I have to say that. Gosh, Christmas was ceased to be a thing around my kind of in my adolescence, and I kind of took a turn against it for like pretty much the rest of my life. I just sort of became alienated by Christmas. Probably why I don't have much Christmas stuff here to wear, but so I'm reacquainting myself with Christmas. I think. I don't know. I think it kind of it lacks spirituality, Neil.
Are you like the odd one out on your street then, with no Christmas decorations up? Are you like totally cold turkey with Christmas? Forgive the pun.
Well, my birthday is December the 22nd, and I'm a twin, so I like the gift. I usually do. Lucky to get wrapping paper on my birthday, so Christmas becomes...
So you're bitter is what you're saying. You're bitter because you get that, well, this is for Christmas and your birthday, John.
Yeah.
Is it that?
Well, I think there are a group of us, I'm sure there's around the world who are bereft of decent birthday presents because it's celebrated so near Christmas, and nobody really cares about your birthday, and then they kind of go, oh God, that must be terrible for you. And
you've harbored this grudge all this time.
I know.
It was like a rival event. It was. I don't know if you.
Yeah, John. That's the ghost of Christmas past. Let's talk about the ghost of Christmas present.
Well, it sort of has informed my present too. You know, I'm very cynical, and as to see Santa, Guinness Santa, which was originally the Coca-Cola Santa, which was effectively, you know, invented the contemporary Christmas. But hang on, I don't want to be...
I'll give you a nicer one. I'll give you a nicer Santa. I'll turn you yet, John. Don't worry, I'll turn you yet.
Okay. Well,
yeah. No. There's the smoking Santa.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about Santa. I mean, I'm not great at anagrams, but it just occurred to me recently that Satan is and also like no. I mean, Father Christmas is.
You're going to be put on the naughty list, John.
No,
Take that back.
He's well there, Vanessa.
If you go around
Oh no,
Europe,
John, we have to get you off the naughty list.
oh no, I appreciate that all the younger readers are asleep by now, but around Europe, Father Christmas is accompanied by usually like an evil goblin or
Krampus, isn't it? Krampus or something. Isn't that what if we had Marcel, he'd tell us about it. Yeah. But I mean, are you finding conspiracy theories in the spirit of Christmas, John?
Well, I think Roger certainly does. I mean, Roger has a great influence over the last year or so. But no, I feel I can appreciate that it's midwinter and you've got to have a lot of fun and everything. There's something about January, though, in Dublin and Ireland, particularly in rural, I think, Ireland. I think it's just this collective hangover. I feel that Christmas should be dispersed between Christmas and Easter. That's less less climactic in one day, and then more like the Olympics, perhaps over.
I've heard enough trouble there as it is. Stop
Here, John, give me the tickets. I'll sell them.
Sorry. I wanted to say that Janet, who's become a sort of broadsheet celebrity since her post last week, she was in search of William in Dundalk, and I think she located him. She's just back from France, and she said she might take part tonight.
Brilliant.
But was nervous, like I get really nervous beforehand. But she had the nerves, and I haven't heard from her. I sent her the Hangout link, so maybe we must show Janet that it's a welcoming environment.
We would love to have you on, Janet, and William too.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I wonder, does he have a dark accent? Well,
I have to say that when Janet wrote in bravely to find William, we Googled him, and
Jesus.
Careful now.
No, nothing sinister. Nothing sinister. Unless Boogaloo or what is it called? It was
Boogaboo.
No. Anyway, it was him, but it was. We were concerned. I mean, anything could have. He could have been horrible. Or worse, really horrible.
Can't get just when you thought worse wasn't bad or horrible wasn't bad, even more horrible.
But he wasn't from Dundalk at all. He was from Meath.
well, somebody said he was. That guy's too good looking to be from Dundalk. What's going on? He must be from north, come down from the north or something. It's terrible.
Well, she said he had a sexy accent, so he couldn't have been from the north.
Exactly.
The Northern Irish accent has been sexy all over.
Well, look listen. Hang on now a second. Let's wait for Janet to come on. Wait for Janet to come on and tell us all about him.
Hopefully, if Janet is watching,
that's the best thing to do.
Come on, Janet.
If Janet is watching. I mean, it was a great story, a great kind of story. And
so this year we've had a broadsheet baby. We've had a broadsheet. We've had a broadsheet breakup. We've had a broadsheet breakup. And now we might have a broadsheet wedding. Hey, here, where's my hat?
Well, I think
see if they can survive broadsheet first. I think
this had a happy ending anyway. God, thank God. Nothing grisly or anything. But so if Janet, you may come on, and if William would like to come on as well, and
we have to take a look at William now.
Were you vetting?
Mother would like to come on with her new hat.
Yeah, we have to get a look at William now. Whatever happens.
Careful now.
He's very.
Were you vetting the situation, John?
He's very dashing. He looks like Lewis Collins from The Professionals. I don't know if you remember in the 70s, the detective.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's your thing. Johnny, sir?
No, I just thought, were you bringing them together?
No.
Sussing them out like doing good detective work?
He's taking over. He's taken over from Al Porter on Blind
That's
Date.
exactly what I was going to say, Vanessa. I see an opening here. A lovely Christmas present from TV3 to the veteran of the telly. That's your gig, John.
And you have the same colour hair as Cilla Black. God.
Oh,
John, would you do it? Would you do the vacancy there on TV3 Blind Date?
But do a Cilla song, John.
oh, yeah.
Surprise!
No, I do think
Sure.
Scylla did the best ever version of Alfie. Like,
I don't know that one. Start it and I'll join in. John.
Yeah, just give us a bar, John, and we'll join in.
it's a song about the former mayor of Dublin. What's it all about?
Alfie.
And to think the license fee money doesn't go to us.
That's it.
But Bacharach does the second best version, but he's not a great singer. But it's his song. Well, he wrote it. How the guy.
You can hold a note, John.
Oh well.
Okay, I'll give you another one. I'll give you another chance to sing. What do you get if you cross Donald Trump with a Christmas card, John?
You got a smug social justice warrior going to give me a anti-Trump line.
No. Oh, come or be faithful.
Jesus, have you been drinking, Vanessa?
That is good, actually. Are they like topical cracker jokes?
I wrote 20 cracker jokes today.
Oh my god! Well, that would be suitable for crackers, basically, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I hope that's not your best one, Vanessa.
That's a cracker.
Okay. Oh no, I've loads of singing ones.
Save it. Save it for the awkward moments.
All right. Okay.
So for the loads.
So we didn't get. John brought the tone down with his Scrooge McScrooge about his view on Christmas. Johnny and Vanessa, what's Christmas for you guys?
Well, normally Christmas for me is when I was working as an accountant year round, you were always working right up to Christmas Eve, and then you'd be in 2 or 3 days later. But it was there was always a good humour. But at the whole Christmas Day, Stephen's Day to me is just sitting down and fucking eating. Oh, excuse me, John.
Fucking
Isn't that great?
I'm over to your place for Stephen's Day. Sorry, the signal isn't great here.
No, but seriously.
I'm only picking up half it.
Let's stop it now. Stop it now. I've contact lenses in tonight. Stop it. Come here. No, but like you just get to
turn around in mood, but go.
you just get to sit down and eat. Like it's just fantastic. It's the only time you get to actually just be a total pig, and you don't even have to do housework because all the decorations hide all the shit. Only this year, it's a very lean Christmas for me this year because the builders are in. So
is that a euphemism?
Nothing's happened.
Metaphorically, or
It's definitely a euphemism.
That wasn't a Christmas cracker joke.
Stop it.
this is
Stop it, lads. Stop it.
just a thing on the decoration. I've often had the Christmas lights stay till June because Christmas lights are just really nice decorations for a house, I think. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
Does
Does that sound very mundane?
But it's very bad luck, John. That's very bad luck. You see, you're drawing all the bad mood on you now. That's very bad luck. Yeah.
The bad what? The bad what? Mood you? What's mood you?
Because there's a town in
Rosie Lee.
I can understand that, Vanessa.
You're supposed to take your decorations down by Little Women's Christmas, John. You're being very you've kind of turned your arse to Christmas. I mean, Santa's a very important man. I mean, you can't be dissing the whole season like that. You know,
I thought,
he's the most important visitor of the year.
Little Women's Christmas.
After the TV license inspector.
Why is Little Women's Christmas the close of Christmas? Shouldn't it be?
It's an Irish thing, isn't it?
So it would be very big. It would be a big thing in Cork. Yeah, so
6th of January. Yeah.
And it celebrates. It celebrates. Was it intended as the first time the woman could sit down and?
Yeah.
Jesus, just.
Relax, girl. Relax.
Put her feet up. Was that the idea? Was that the concept? Like December the 8th being the day when the people from the country come up to Dublin to buy stuff.
It must have its root.
That's before we got shopping centres, John.
They all went down to the corner shop.
Vanessa, I was hoping you could answer both questions.
That's at the corner.
Right. I don't know what Little Women's Christmas is all about. I just know it's the day all the decorations have to come down, and they go into the attic, and it's all over for another year.
Right.
That's
what it is.
But they have a party as well, like.
Yeah, it's a night out. It's a big night out. Yeah.
But is it? Is it really? It's a Little Women's. You're not going to, and you've got to work.
Careful now.
So what do you care? You're not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, I would have
you've no decorations.
Going to TV3 9 days.
No, I think this is good.
Chad, what do you care? You have no decorations put away.
I will.
He's got 2 candles to put away.
I put them on my birthday, okay?
Yeah.
And they're my birthday decorations. They're not Christmas decorations, anyway.
So
are you 11 again?
Do you have birthday cake? Instead
Look,
of Christmas cake.
As I say, we've never never had a kind of a birthday party since I was like 8.
I hope Bob Geldof is listening. He might start a Christmas birthday aid for you, John.
Actually, somebody had a surprise birthday.
There'll be a vigil now down outside Leinster House for John Ryan now because
Anyway, I wanted to talk about Brexit, guys.
Oh yeah. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? No more Brussels.
Well, I wanted us to
no more Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Neil, you had some toys of yore that we were going to.
Did you not? Do you want to talk about Brexit?
No, I don't.
No. Oh, okay.
No.
No. Well, we didn't get Johnny's view on Christmas. We have to give Johnny, because I'm hoping that Johnny has a different view.
Well, I'm sorry to say, Neil, I kind of do, but problem with my internet connection, so I missed some of what John was saying. But towards the end, it's kind of, I have that kind of bah humbug mentality for a while. I don't like the way that the Americans invented, or Coca-Cola invented the new modern Santa. So I really thought about this year, and I did Santa Claus a few years ago for hard cash. And the crack was good. So I actually have the costume there somewhere.
Are you a Santa Claus?
I was in a previous in a further
bad Santa, Vanessa.
No,
He's only good Santa.
They came to my ghetto, or my grotto, sorry, and I gave them presents. I was booked like by a shopping centre, so it was a good experience. But I was wearing the red suit. But ever since then, I was kind of thinking, if I was to do it again, I would go the whole St. Nicholas route. And, green is really the traditional colour of Christmas. And it started in Germany. And apparently he was buried just outside Kilkenny.
Thomastown.
But I don't know how he could be buried if he's still coming once a year, Neil, you know?
No, there's no way such a decent man. There's no way such a decent loved man is buried down there. Absolutely no way. If he's buried anywhere, he's buried in Cork. He's not. He's not. I hope is he buried?
Come on, Vanessa. You have everything. You have everything else. Just give us Santa Claus. Come on.
Johnny. Yeah. What was it like? Was it a supermarket or a shopping centre?
Yeah, a shopping centre, man. Had a little wooden cabin there in the middle of it, and the kids were coming in and out.
Hilarious.
Bang, bang. How are you doing? What do you want? Or how are you doing? What do you want? Trying to sound a bit Ronnie Drew, you know.
How did they find you, Johnny? Like, I mean, did you put an ad up in the local spur? Or what?
No.
You applied?
I was looking for a Christmas job, and I was going, they're looking for Santa Claus. And one guy was Santa in another shopping centre, the other side of town. He didn't like the competition at all. He said, I don't know. I don't think you're old enough.
Did you audition?
Yeah, well, I did the interview. I wasn't in my suit, like. But no, that's not my whole mission idea of Christmas. I just said I really kind of take the seriousness of what John was saying, and I was going to make that point as well, because fair play, you gave us out what we were going to be talking about, and I had time to think about it. So I think if we take back what Santa Claus is, Saint Nick, and it was like, just goodwill and bringing presents to kids. And, there's nothing wrong with that Santa, no more than there's anything wrong with the modern Santa. But in relation to teasing out Christmas, it really is over a month now anyway, John.
Yeah.
The advertising and all that. But you can buy into that, which most of the mainstream do, because it's American wet capitalist corporate dream. That's what a Christmas is, essentially. And
It's not. Santa isn't a capitalist dream.
The modern one.
Well, Santa's socialist because he gives you presents for free.
Everyone else, like I was brought up a Catholic, and I really appreciate the story of Jesus. Like, I think it's powerful, and regardless of whether you believe in anything after the fact, but a child was born to save the world. That's a beautiful utopian notion. And so Christmas, every Christmas Eve, we used to go to the church. Well, we obviously went to morning mass when I was younger, but when I came of teenage age, going to the church at midnight mass, it's quite a sight, for a 13, 14-year-old. See everyone trying to hold it together, and they're half cut from coming out of the pub. So the sense of community and knocking the crack out of it. That's Christmas. But the older you get, the more you feel it's kind of it's for the kids. And I see it in my nieces and nephews. The excitement that they have is palatable. I was over in a friend's house there last Friday night while they were looking at the late, and she was trying her best to stay up, but the excitement in her eyes was amazing. Like, and I think, that's really the power of it. But
it is.
Great memories of Christmas. And I'm delighted it exists. I wouldn't knock it.
I have a picture of you, Johnny, from when you were doing Santa. I think this was outside Langton's or something.
Johnny, do you mind me asking? Do you know the other Santa, the rival Santa? He was complaining that you're too young to be playing Santa.
Oh yeah.
How old was he?
John, he was about
70,
and he had his own beard. It was real. This is before beards were cool, again.
So you were literally Johnny come lately, and he was saying, I've been Santa since you were looking for
I got the gig 4 weeks in there. I organised a fundraiser for Home at Loan around that time as well. So my head was fried, but I found solace just giving the kids presents. How you keep them? So I don't know, 10 or an hour.
So Johnny, I'm doing Santa tomorrow in the office. I do them every year. So have you any tips for me for tomorrow? I'll have the colleagues' kids, so I can't get fired.
Okay, right. There's a health and safety issue there, obviously. Neil.
As what?
Is it a work do? Yeah.
It's during office hours in the office.
Grand, yeah. So they know that there's Santa Claus there, and he's going to be giving out presents. So you're sitting down, obviously in eye contact. That's the most important thing, and just ask them how are they keeping, and what would you like off Mr. Claus this year or something. Because they know that you're not really Santa, or maybe just say what do you want for Christmas?
They do. They really do.
Yeah.
The first kid that says to me, "You're not the real Santa," I'll be pointing at his mother and saying, "That's not your real mother."
Yeah.
Fair is fair. I put my heart and soul into this. I'm not even getting minimum wage.
Yeah, but Neil, this is the spirit of Christmas as well. You give, and you get it back in the warmth of the children's smiles.
As the kids, it is the kids.
Johnny,
you'll be grand, Neil. Fair play to you.
The real Santa. So you as the pretender. Were you making more? Did you have more kids coming to you? Were you making more money?
No, I'm sure I definitely had more, but that was to do with I was in a new shopping centre, and they had Dunn Stores, M&S or H&M. Sorry, M&S, H&M. All the big shops. There was H&V was going at the time, and your man was just down in a smaller shopping centre.
Oh God! And an old guy and you're just coming in younger, probably quicker with giving out presents.
Yeah, but he was
expensive presents as well.
No, I don't know. I think you get for a tenner you get a present, and a lot of them wanted a Ben Racer, was it at the time?
I don't know. Was it
You should know. You were Santa.
Well,
What
Johnny,
is it?
would you
10
do?
years ago.
about
Would you do?
a rally racer? What is it? The 40s?
Oh
No,
God,
no, no, no,
John,
I was
you're just Johnny. You're just determined now to piss everybody off here.
Not
Mister.
at all,
You're
no,
just
I'm-
being a grouch. Johnny, would you do Santa for the Christmas too next
But
week?
what was your script, Johnny? Was it like just ho ho ho? How are you doing?
I'll do it if I can, Vanessa. If you need someone and you're desperate, yeah. Sorry, John.
But, like if the kid were like they'd be speechless, right? So you'd have to kind of would you say I've just come from Lapland?
No, not gonna bullshit, man. Not gonna bullshit kids. They know the crack. I just say, how's it going? Or how you doing? What's your name? What's your name? Amy. Hi, how are you, Amy? That's a lovely dress. You know, if she had a nice dress or her hair was, you know, a compliment.
Make no effort to appear
Your compliment.
Whiskery.
James, how are you, James? James, how are you, Santa? And a lot of them would be shy as well, you know. How are you, Santa? All right,
Very deep voice for a kid.
Yeah, but they could get that from their teacher. Were you not a bit more kind of ho ho ho? Hello, young.
I was, yeah, John. There you go. That's exactly. I wasn't that good.
Johnny, did you have any accidents? Like, did anyone wee on you, or did anyone get sick on you, or did anyone pull your beard or give you no dig?
No.
He looks Jesus Christ, he looks
Sorry, Johnny,
disappointed.
but I think the old guy puts up with that. Like he deals with them down in the other shopping center, supermarket. He's getting a day in, day out. He's getting stuff spilt on him.
No, man, he was cool.
He
He was
gets the
grand.
inner city.
He was happy out. He was getting paid anyway, so it meant like if he wasn't getting much traffic, he could relax, go for. But he was. It was just a different side of town. It's a. The guy is happy.
Side of town.
He's still doing it. So you know, I see him regularly. I still call him Santa. You know. But
Speaking of Santa,
he takes the gig seriously. maybe he is the Falcon Santa because he's really nice.
he came out of the grave near Thomastown to do it for you.
Neil,
Well, he was a lot nicer than Richard.
That man is not down there. Give over. Stop
He's
that
a wiki
man.
page. Speaking of Santa, who's on his list? Who's on his naughty and nice list in the world?
Oh, Neil. Yeah, I wanted to.
I'm on the good list.
About lists is the comments yesterday on the post from readers.
Yeah.
I just want to remind you that. Okay, sorry, you're the producer. I forgot.
Thank you, assistant producer.
Forget it.
I don't know if any of those comments could be read out. Yeah. So who looking back on 2017, who's on Santa's naughty list and who's on Santa's nice list?
I'm on the nice list. I'm the top of the list. I'm best girl in the house.
Oh, we know that, Vanessa. We know that.
Okay.
Where about Leo? Where's Leo sitting on?
I agree with
Leo
that.
down?
Okay.
Leo.
Does he
Why
celebrate
are Leo's?
Christmas?
Why are all Leo's? Why are all Leo's Christmas cards on the floor?
I don't know, Vanessa. Why are all the Leo's Christmas cards on the floor?
Because his cabinet collapsed.
I was going to say something really.
I
bad
like
there,
that. I like.
Good say.
I got to put a line through that one, right? That's done.
So is Leo on the naughty or nice list? Because when he had that whole welfare thing, and then he's been playing the
he
blinder
has to
with
be
Brexit.
Well,
I'd say he's on the good list. Because we don't know if he groped anyone yet.
Oh,
do you
careful
know
now.
something? Yeah. Well,
Doesn't matter when he grew up anyone, he fucked the welfare. Sorry.
The line about I'm terribly sorry, but you get so many complaints.
She teed it up for me, man. You know,
You get so
I
many
only curse
complaints.
when I'm angry, John. So don't just, you know, I'm the Incredible Hulk here. Don't.
I'd
push it.
say he's
I'm
on the.
agreeing.
I'd say he's on the good list. Yeah.
No,
Johnny, would you be having Leo on the good list?
I would
You're a
not,
big Leo
no.
fan. You're a massive Leo
No,
fan.
just exactly what you said. He waged war on the welfare. He didn't wage war on the banks. It all happened in very quick succession. Where is he now? He's acting like an idiot in the middle of the Brexit thing that we said we wouldn't talk about. But he's not a safe pair of hands. He's no Neil Curran there. You know what I'm saying? He's showboating.
But it's the
and
time
his
of
ego is
forgiveness,
running
no?
away. And his PR, I'd love to meet the PR heads. I think they're mad.
Well,
Whoever's writing these stuff are mad. I'd love to meet them. I'd love to.
Johnny.
John, can we please get them on?
They're all over Broadsheet.
Johnny,
Are they?
the problem is, and I don't believe polls anymore. I mean, I don't think many people do, but frankly, we're being told that his popularity is way high. Fine Gael are up 5 points.
But he's playing. He is playing a blinder with Brexit. You know, he's doing.
Coveney is.
Well, so
He's
is
winding
Leo,
them up.
isn't he?
He's winding up the DUP. They don't need to be wound up. You know, just kind of ignore them.
Listen. You always have to set out to wind them up anyway. I mean, they're
They dig their own hole.
They're actually preposterous, John. They are preposterous. And listen, the other thing about the DUP, they never supported the Good Friday Agreement. They never even were party to the talk. So why the hell they seem to think they can use it now as a get out?
But bear in mind, like sorry, go ahead, John.
Sorry, they'll probably never have this opportunity again in their lives, and we would do exactly the same. I think, pretty much.
But the hypocrisy of it, though.
Yeah, but diplomacy is the key there. They're not diplomats in the DUP. They're hardliners. I want your man Leo to be, and he's literally he's out of his depth in an awful lot of situations anyway. I think, and this is just another case that he has to stay as little as possible because Britain decided they were leaving Europe. He fix it, lads, and we'll just say no, that's not good enough. The EU guy came in there last week, and I thought it was great. I actually felt happy, and I wouldn't be an EUer, but he said whatever Ireland decide. If they're not happy, we're not happy. And I thought that's enough. That's all you need. The vote of confidence from Europe. We got her back. It's not.
Is he being sincere though, Johnny?
I don't know, Neil. But I just thought we've been waiting 800 years to hear that. Like, you know, that's what I thought. It was just to hear that.
A few things. The whole Brexit thing. You often wonder why are any of us involved at all? Let the Brits sort it out. But the other thing is, Dodds is there in the background behind Arlene all the time, and now he's an incredibly smart man. I never understand what he's doing with them anyway, but like he's quite a brilliant man. His choice of politics are pretty lunatic.
Vanessa, can I just interrupt you there and welcome Luke Brennan? Hello, Luke.
Hey guys.
Lads, remember, Luke, you have to sing your favorite Christmas card because we all had to do it, so you have to do it now.
Yeah, no, I was watching.
Off you go.
I was waiting for you to take the lead, Vanessa, and I'm just ready to join in.
I join in. No, I join in. You start.
Right in after you.
Luke, this could be your possibly last Christmas in Ireland for a while.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of looking at doing a bit of traveling. You know, sort of I've been working very hard over the last while, and I've got a bit of a window to sort of get away and sort of do a bit of traveling. So, like in the new year, I'm gonna head over and sort of get some relaxing done in Portugal, and then sort of take it from there. So, yeah.
Are you going to do? I mean, do you need to work for that period, or are you just going to like?
No, I mean, like I said, sort of. I spent the last 15 years sort of setting up a business, and that's sort of going well. The second in command there is very capable. She's been with me for 12 years, and she's very happy to sort of take things on. So, I mean, you know, if it all falls apart, that will be that. But you know, I mean, I enjoy the work. It's the work that sort of does it for me. So, you know, everyone's happy, and yeah, it's sort of. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, it's like 15 years is a long time at the wheel. You know, so it's. I'm sure you know yourself with you know sort of something like Broadsheet, which is effectively you know sort of a 24-hour job as well. You know, you sort of it's you know, a break from it is a great chance. If you see a chink of light, you have to jump at it.
See, John, this is what you needed. You should have taken a holiday all those years ago, and then you'd be celebrating Christmas now like the normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to. I
think, John, you should come back. I think, John, you should come back to one of our Christmases and, you know, totally guzzle it up.
Well, definitely. Well, but my birthday with my twin is more important than Christmas will ever be.
Wow.
Is your twin as miserable? I mean that respectfully.
Well, I think she wasn't. She was as left empty-handed as I was. I mean, it's a genuine miserable time if it's your birthday and Christmas. You just cannot compete with the sheer tinsel. You know,
it's competition.
Here we go again.
The sleigh bells.
Don, what you said? You only got one present when you thought you should have got two.
Yeah, I mean it's bad enough that you have to sort of like you know share your time with Christmas, you know, but also then a twin as well. I mean, I mean that's got to sort of degrade the presents, does it?
Well,
I'm nobody's child.
Like a flower growing.
Firstly, you'll get oh, this is a joint present. You know, this is a Christmas and
Giant, lovely. I wouldn't like that.
Well, so you get a joint present, but then it could be a third of a present because it's a joint present to two of you in some elaborate kind of nothing burger deal. You know.
Give us an example. Give us an example of your worst birthday present / Christmas present, John.
Well, I was often left with wrapping paper, essentially. Once the deal.
You want wrapping paper? I got mine in a sack, a black bag.
That's posh. That's posh. Wrapping the presents in wrapping paper. they were only for the wrapping paper was only for the posh relatives. Stop it.
Well, I had to give it back as well, but I mean,
well, after you used it for toilet paper.
Ah, Johnny, we don't all live in Kilkenny.
But that's enough of my. Luke,
stop it.
Luke, I sense because we know your mum Helena is Potter and
Yeah, sure.
You're a South Dublin kind of arty family. I'm gonna guess. So was it sort of nutty gizzards? What did you have for Christmas Day? Was it?
Well, I've got 4 brothers and a sister, so it was pretty hectic, you know. And I'd have it no other way, you know, that sort of that lovely sort of craziness that you know, sort of you get, you know, yeah, like I think my mum sort of worked out sort of after a few years that if she sort of staggered out the presents, you know, like we didn't all start crying by lunchtime. That was
So come here. Would you break the rules and open a present on Christmas Eve?
Yeah, well, I remember, you know, I had a big thing for chemistry when I was a kid, and I remember there was a chemistry set waiting for me. I'd worked out where it was. I'd already played for it a few times. I'd been snooping around, so like I had to act surprised. And I was like, oh, you know, even though I'd actually already been at it a little bit already.
Well, I get disgusted at this. There's people in my family who think there's a rule that you can open a present on Christmas Eve, and I get disgusted at this. And I'd like to think I'm not on my own. Are the rest of you?
Are they in the room with you there now?
There's nobody. They're not. Is there an element of spoiled child?
No, well, that was never a problem with me because I used to. My parents worked, but my mother worked nights, so we'd nearly always have to wait until the cousins came home from England to get all our presents.
You see, that's
they'd all come on Stephen's Day.
Yeah, that's nice. You see, that's nice.
We would
have to wait Stephen's Day for your presents.
Yeah, but they'd be coming over from England. You see, she would have arranged for my aunts to buy them, and they'd all come back on Stephen's Day. So, unfortunately, I had an Atari like a year or two before all the others.
Oh yeah,
you had the best presents. Okay,
yeah,
worth waiting for.
I have an Atari story that it's a lesson to. Atari that year, I think. Vanessa, I don't know.
I'm getting Atari up for you.
I think John is trying to rope you into an age thing here, Vanessa. Just be careful.
Oh, well, no.
Well, there was a year that Atari, if you didn't get Atari, whatever, and
the 2600.
Yeah, I think it was the big. There was a rival.
There you go, voice.
I say rival from Binetone. It was like Binetone, where you got them from Newry. It was like at the back of the thing, and the plug didn't work, and it was Hungarian wiring. It was so that's why I got the Binetone rather than the Atari. My God.
I've never heard of that now. Ben, I'm going to have to Google that. Binetone.
B-I-N, I think, Binetone. Yeah, there were. And you couldn't get the cart. You couldn't get the game. It was just, and there was one. It was like the table tennis game, the pong.
Oh, the pong.
barely pong. You know.
Never seen that. Hang on, we get it up on the big screen.
I was thinking maybe, Luke, you were getting sort of handmade toys. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
so
well,
that's the trouble. Sorry, Luke.
No. Well, I mean, I suppose probably more than most people, we would like. I have a brother who, I mean, he's like an animator, so he's very much, you know, sort of like he would still make us sort of handmade presents, so that's always nice, you know.
Yeah.
Partly because, you know, he's like an artist, so he's broke all the time. You know, so, you know, but it works very well, you know, because he gives really nice presents. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like I don't know, I had a very happy sort of childhood. We didn't sort of have a lot. I mean, like artist parents are kind of good fun, but not very good at, you know, sort of, you know,
Ataris.
the Ataris and all that. But you know, we didn't really care.
No.
Like when it got into the whole sort of, you know, Commodore 64 Amiga thing, we went the Amiga route, so we were sort of, you know,
That's
like,
swish.
yeah.
But that means you're 10 years. That means you're 10 years younger than John and I.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We were pre 8-bit. We were like kind of, I don't know.
Well, I had an uncle who had a pet. I don't know if you remember the pet computers. That was like before Atari. You know, I remember going up and we used to sort of like literally write in the lines of code, you know, to play a game. Like to play a game, you would actually have to input like 10, you know, go to 20, you know, sort of code.
That was pet computers were made by Commodore. They were pre-Commodore 64s. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the MS DOS.
What was your best ever Christmas present, Johnny?
Well, I'm just thinking of computers there, but it wasn't. We had the Sinclair Spectrum. Remember Jetpack?
Yes.
Yeah, it was brilliant. We played it. I must have played it, I'd say, for 3 weeks non-stop. And then my brother thought he was that cool that he was able to get crackers and jam, and the jam got stuck in the yoke and it broke, and we never got to play it again. But everyone had a Sinclair Spectrum back in 1984, maybe 83. So
did you get to play the Dizzy games? Did you get to play the Dizzy games?
No, I don't think so.
It might have been the next Spectrum.
Well, I remember that was it ping pong? Is it something like that?
Pong.
Yeah, like, you know, I seen that in operation on a movie or something. I was going, the people actually play that. You're the proof, and you're actually all right. But now they have Grand Theft Auto. You know Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah,
that's what they have for computer games now. And I'm sorry, but like I've just heard about it and I've seen a few guys play it, and it's kind of fairly full on. But Pong. I don't know, but games are games. It's not.
They're not. The thing about Pong is that it wasn't enjoyable to play at all on any level. It was just
the noise, was it?
Yeah,
it was about incredibly weird wrist. You know, it was
the toggles.
It was like seeing were you any good at gawking for future years.
Which But I think these kids today don't know they're boring because Pong was like tough. You had to get, you know.
Yeah. But it's a sign of the times, and you just made the point that if you're looking at that in 60, where are we? 72, 73. Sure, I must have been. No, I didn't have it. But yeah, when you're 9 or 10, looking at that, and now you're 9 or 10, and you're looking at something completely different, and you can actually be a part of it. The results aren't in. But I don't know whether all that is healthy for and I'm looking at it from an overview at the moment in relation to how the surveys have come back in relation to how kids are dealing with that kind of stuff. But that's the side point. That's not. The best present I ever had was blocks, Lego blocks. I wouldn't even Lego blocks. They were just in a plastic box, and I just remember how I got them. I must have been about 5. And my mother and father welcomed me and says, "Oh, I think the presents are there. We're going to go get the presents." So it was just a nice experience of the sharing of the presents at that time. But then I kind of realized, you know, that there mightn't be, you know what I'm saying? I Mr. Claus, but of course there is. But so it had more to do with the exchange of the presents back then, on that particular occasion, than the actual present, because you know blocks are grand and all that. But I do remember getting a gun, a little plastic gun and a hat, a cowboy thing, you know. And it wasn't the main present, but I just got the gun. I'd say within a few minutes, and I just started baiting off the wall, and I broke it. So they didn't get me a gun after that. So I don't know. That kind of says something maybe about me. I've thought about that. How I break up a gun when I don't even know what it is. But you know, the best present was the blocks, but because I got them from my mother and father, and I thought that was nice.
Luke, do you recall a gift that stands out for you in your life?
A Christmas present? Yeah, I don't know. Well, like I said, that
That chemistry set.
That chemistry set, yeah. I mean, I ended up going over, I did chemistry in college, and it was something, I just it was something I had a sort of real sort of yin for, and it put me down a road, so sort of just really enjoy that, and I suppose I'm into tech probably more now, and like just technology and engineering and seeing things work, and like it's nice to sort of remember back to the very start of it. I always talk about chemistry. You start with the very small bits. You can work your way up and try and understand the world.
Did you make things explode?
Yeah. Well, that was kind of, we used to be going down to the chemist at the end of the road and convincing them to give us like sulfur and saltpeter, and then we'll be making our little sort of explosive packs, and
Okay.
like burning holes in desks at school and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was great fun.
Blimey. I was which school was this now?
Well, I went to Marion College for a while.
Okay.
And then I got kicked out. But
we spoke about that. Yeah.
Wearing that jumper.
Yeah. That was Well, yeah.
Was it related to I don't know, explosives?
No, well, there was a little bit of that actually. They heard about that, but fires were lit. But
you don't have to go into the details. Neil,
it's kind of difficult to be a good cog in the big machine, but I definitely still down afterwards.
Well, now you've got your own lab, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, it's all about sort of having your own toys, isn't it?
Indeed, but be careful, Neil. What's your?
Are you in Breaking Bad?
I was a Lego fan as well, and I had a Commodore 64, but I was a very shy child, so I was happy to sit in front of a 10-minute loading screen to play 30 seconds of the game. But I was a huge Star Wars fan, and I don't know if you remember, I have it on the screen behind me. Do you remember the Millennium Falcon? I think every household that had boys had them on the planet. It's on the screen behind me, and you could take the back of it off and stick your Star Wars figures in them, and everyone had them, and they're worth a fortune now if you still have one in the box. Of course,
they were quite well made, weren't they?
Yeah.
For a kid's toy.
Yeah. That was a popular one.
Did you not get that a gift? Neil?
Huh?
Did you ask for that and not get it?
No, I did get it. And it got given to the charity shop or whatever, and the charity shop made millions. But there is a
confession.
Oh, you still have it?
Mm-hmm.
No, I've got a confession. I have never seen a Star Wars movie. I know everyone in them. Yeah, I know them all. Princess
Leia.
There's one
out next week.
I have never seen one, and something else. I've never seen Willy Wonka either.
Well, that's a good thing. Willy Wonka is the terrible movie about manipulating children, but the Star Wars one you have no excuse for.
Yeah, but it's a weird thing because you know everyone in them, and it's just.
I'd love to be like you to go watch them. Watch the
Millennium Falcon. I think the Stretch Armstrong was a big one.
Oh, yeah! I used to have great fun. The Hulk one.
The problem with Stretch Armstrong, if you felt him, he's very soft, and somebody dared me to headbutt him. But when you headbutt clay, Luke, you'll know this, won't you? It feels like a rock. It's not.
Yeah.
Was that a birthday present or a Christmas present, John?
No, it was something that I wanted so badly, and a friend had it, and I.
Was it your communion money or your confirmation money?
But after I headbutted it, I didn't want it anymore.
It's all becoming a bit confessional, this, isn't it, John?
How did you ruin Christmas?
Yeah. Actually, my friend told me to headbutt it, knowing that it would be. I say friend,
Yeah.
Neil, I'm gonna have to take a task there, Neil.
You're going to take me to task. I haven't gone.
Your Willy Wonka reference,
Oh, the Willy Wonka.
Okay, if you look at Willy Wonka for two reasons, Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
Who passed on, no shit in his closet, a real cool guy, brilliant actor. I thought he made that, and the soundtrack. Anything else, I'd say it could be, whatever. But them two reasons are class.
Look at the film. He's got a monopoly on the chocolate market. This creepy old man lives in a factory where these
Okay, you're gonna have
ethnic
to take that for
minority,
Roald Dahl,
this
really.
ethnic minority work as slaves for him.
Yeah.
And here's the creepy thing with it. So when all the kids arrive, and do you remember the scene where Augustus Gloop, the German kid, falls into the water? And then they get on the boat in the river scene. When they get on the boat, then
Yeah,
there was
that's
no
very
seat
scary
for
to say.
Augustus Gloop. There's no empty seats.
Okay.
So he
Oh.
obviously knew that the kid Augustus Gloop was going to get killed off.
But that's the whole.
Yeah.
That's the whole. Roald Dahl thing, isn't it? That sort of like that sort of darkness that sort of kids love.
Tales of unexpected, like.
It's serial. It's a serial.
Yeah.
It's Wonka is a serial killer in it.
Yeah, but if you look at the Johnny Depp one, that's probably closer to the book. But the Gene Wilder, that's a real experience. And like the thing about that is one of the films that I grew up on, and we used to love it, Stephen's Day, and then it became on at Easter, and you're going, oh wait, man, you know, look at Willy Wonka during Christmas.
Oh,
And that's my go-to film every Christmas. It just floods great back childhood memories. But my favorite one is. Oh, you're not talking about that yet. Go on. Sorry.
Go on,
No,
what's
I'm
your
sorry.
favorite?
I'm sorry I opened my trap now.
You know, not like
has
in
to
Star
be.
Wars, Vanessa, or not seeing it as how I don't know how you could get through life not seeing Star Wars. There's only 3 films. There's only 3 films you have to watch.
what are
But
they?
it looks like there's loads of them.
Now, don't mind that. There's only 3 films.
What are the 3?
Star Wars,
Star Wars
1.
1, 2, 3.
No, it's actually 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. Star Wars: A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Do you not remember back in the day, Darth Vader used to turn up at your shopping center and
Oh,
sign
man.
autographs? Do you remember those days?
I
Darth
remember
Vader
that.
went to Electric Picnic
Like-
with me.
Morris Pratt played.
Right, you remember that, Luke? Do you remember did Darth Vader turn up at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had the sort of there's a thing of it on YouTube where they try to make the world's biggest Lego sort of construct going all the way up, even the escalators up every floor of the Dunleary Shopping Centre, and then Darth Vader walked around judging the competition, seeing who made the best Lego things. It was amazing.
Well, I lived in Tallaght, so Darth Vader turned up in a Ford Escort.
In the square.
No, the square didn't exist back then. Killing the man in shopping centre.
Did he put his hand on your shoulder and say, "Luke, I am your God"?
He had terrible handwriting.
Yeah.
Well, you must be in the Star Wars.
I went to-
Well, you see, like there's the like I'm one of the pre Star Wars Lukes. There's all these like sort of like latecomer, like Johnny Come Lately Star Lukes that up at the club where I've been playing hurling. There's sort of everyone sort of there's a whole sort of range behind me, hordes of Lukes as a result of Star Wars.
And you weren't Luke. You were Luke because of Luke.
Yeah, well, it's an unusual name, obviously. It's a religious name.
Yeah,
I was jealous. I was a kid in my class who was a Luke when I was in primary school. I was very jealous of him being Luke.
Yeah, I can remember sitting there and going, "This is amazing." When Star Wars came out, this is just the coolest thing.
You say you got 3 brothers, Luke.
4 brothers, yeah.
4 brothers.
Han, Chewie, and Lando.
Matthew, Mark, and John, no?
Yeah. That's it, yeah.
Come here. I wanted to say I've got a good Darth Vader story. I went to the Electric Picnic dressed as Jimi Hendrix one year. When Electric Picnic was good, like
when blackface was accepted,
and Darth Vader came as well, mate, dressed up as Darth Vader, and he went over to the cops. And sorry, lads, I haven't seen Star Wars in a long while, so but your man goes over to the cops anyway, don't he? And he goes, "Your powers are insignificant to mine." Is that his catchphrase? No.
No.
what?
He says something like that.
It's one of them.
What's his catchphrase?
Darth Vader.
What's his catchphrase?
Your powers are insignificant to mine, or something like that. No, is it? I don't know.
No, it's not. But we'll let you. We'll let you
Okay.
know that, Johnny.
He said something like that to the cops anyway, and the cop just went, "Go on, by, keep going." I just thought it was very funny at the
Maybe
time.
my
It happened to be there,
force.
sorry.
The force. No.
Yeah, it was something about.
May the force be with you.
I was doing a gig at Ted Fest on the Aran Islands years ago, and we were doing an improv show. And Ted Fest is like a Comic Con for Father Ted. Everyone dressed up as characters from the show, priests. And if you can imagine, you're on Inishmore, and everyone looks like a priest or a nun. And a friend who wasn't performing but was kind of our roadie, he was taking pictures and filming us. And he's a total Star Wars. He's an absolute Star Wars nerd. And so we all brought our priest costumes. He brought his Darth Vader costume, and he had a crucifix around his neck. And we're on the ferry on the way over to Inishmore, and we were like, "What the fuck did you bring a Darth Vader? Like, it makes no sense." And somebody turned around and said, "Well, actually, in episode such and such, Dougal had a list of things that he was afraid of that weren't real, and Darth Vader was on the list." And he ended up getting a gig out of it because Meteor, I think, were sponsoring it, and they loved the fact Darth Vader was walking around, so they got him to do some stuff. And then he got this gig where he was hosting a quiz then back in Dublin a few months later, and purely because he wore a bloody Darth Vader costume.
The TED Fest, I must say, that's stopped now, hasn't it, Neil?
No, it still goes. It just doesn't have to really. They sell out fairly quickly because there's only so many beds on the island. I think it's Dermot Morgan's son Rob that still runs it or is heavily involved.
Because it sounds, it's the one thing that one of those cosplay things that I'd love to go to. Actually,
it is an incredible experience, but it's the kind of thing where the stars are the people who turn up, as opposed to, like, they don't get celebrity acts. Like, they have bands and there's storytelling and matchmaking events, but it's all about, we had a guy in it who was playing the Father Jack in the wheelchair with the fishing rod with the bottle of whiskey, and he stormed the stage when we were doing our set, and he was hammered, and that was like 2 p.m. on one of the days. It is totally a surreal experience, but it's great crack.
Incredible.
But the boys, Father Damo and Patrick McConnell, what was he?
Oh, McLovin or McLove,
and there's a third one there. But they have a festival on one of the smaller islands off Inishmore. Inishowen, is it?
Oh. So
they do something of the TED ilk as well, but they have a different slant to it. So I don't think it's in competition. I think it's understood that something else goes on another time. I haven't been to either, but I'm always mad to go. And I have a friend who actually lives in Iron Island, so
it has to be said. I know there are periods when TED becomes so saturated with Father Ted, doesn't it? The culture that it becomes, But
it's like Fawlty Towers, though. No matter how many times you see it.
Father Ted doesn't travel well, though. It's very much something that only really Irish and UK folks get.
I don't know. Actually, I've two German people have sort of told me that they really enjoy it. There are sort of outliers in that.
I once met I met Dermot Morgan in the company of Charlie Chaplin's daughter, and
wow.
her children were fans of Father Ted, and they'd met at an airport. The kids said, "Oh, let's say, so." It traveled on that occasion anyway, and certainly the Chaplin could see, or the Chaplin Lenise.
Well, certainly sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Neil, I was just going to say, like, Father Damo, he's involved in improv now, isn't he? I was in at the International there.
Joe Rooney, he does the International nights. Yeah, that he's a great guy. He's a great comedian. Yeah, and such a Damo. Yeah, it was like, which do you prefer, Blur or Oasis? That was his tagline.
I was just saying about the TED is that. Like, sometimes it gets a bit, and I think at the moment the kind of culture is, it's too many Father Ted references to, every protest and stuff.
Yeah.
But each generation, a new generation will start watching them soon, and I really it's going to be the next whatever. It'll just keep on building and building and building. It's sort of like our Beatles almost, Father Ted.
Yeah, I mean, it's a surreal thing. I remember the year I was there. They do the best dressed. Which it's hard work to judge because you have people who are so serious about it. But the guy who won that year, I don't know if you now we're doing that thing I don't know if you remember that episode. If the episode where there was the speck of dirt on the window, and Dermot Morgan, he was waving out, but the dirt to people outside looked like a Hitler moustache. So the guy who won the year I was there, he constructed a window frame around his head with dirt on it. And he just kept waving at people, and he won. But if you can imagine a tourist or an outsider, and there was guys dressed up as in the SS uniforms, drunk, lying on the ground. I got video footage of it. If an outsider watching that, it would be potentially highly offensive. But it means something obviously different to us.
It is strange that kind of the really clever, whimsical humor. Like the fun fair in Father Ted, which is like the staring competition, and those kind of tropes and ideas, you don't see them. I don't want to bring out the old age-old argument, but you don't see a lot of that in Irish comedy, even though it was so successful in that.
Well, see, the two guys are from Ireland. They're from Dublin. but they were brought up on Alan Partridge and all that British comedy at the time, League of Gentlemen. So they had a mix of everything.
Well,
And I think they had.
Yeah, I mean, they were
The two guys. They were just
Graham Linehan
brilliant at
the
the
other guy.
time. But look at where they are now.
Yeah,
They're in London. Graham Lennon has done the IT. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's massive. But I like what Matthews has done with Toast. Have you seen that Toast?
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah,
That's brilliant. So these guys, you know, are really. And what was done with Ted was unbelievable. It just came out perfectly at the time. I remember the first time I seen it. It was in Palmerstown, and I was getting the bus to Rathmines, the A18, I think. And these women got on at Ballyfermot, and they were going arse, feck, girls. That was about half an hour after I was there the first night, you know. So yeah, and I knew this was going to be a hit. And but the whole Ted, Moby is a massive fan. You know Moby.
That's right. Yeah.
The artist, New York, and they tried to launch it in New York, and there was fuck all journalists at it, but Moby turned up and he was asking all these obscure questions and all that. But I went to see U2.
I was at that show as well. Yeah.
Well,
brilliant. When Ireland were playing Holland, I never seen such a waste of Heineken in my life. When McAteer got the goal, but 70,000 pints thrown in the air like. But the highlight was of the day wasn't U2, because I was really looking forward to U2 because I thought that Bono would bring the team, fly them in by helicopter and introduce them to the crowd live on stage. But Moby, he didn't. But Moby introduced Dougal on the keyboard doing My Little Horse, and it was class. It was class. So the crowd went mental for that. You know, this is about an hour after Ireland had got through to the World Cup. And next thing, Moby introduces Dougal onto the stage. That's cult status. That's part of 10.
He did a phenomenal set that gig. I thought Moby was. I wasn't a Moby fan up to that point, but I thought he was way better than U2 were. He really got the crowd going.
Sorry.
Doorbell. It's the TV license inspector.
Is that
Christmas carols? It's Christmas carolers.
Is that Janet? As I say, if Janet's watching, we were on the email today, so if you're there, please come on and.
We want you to come on, Janet.
You have that link.
There will be no slagging.
Just in case you didn't notice, there's Dermot Morgan behind doing his with the big hurley, and this is the RT guide from 1983.
Wow.
Is that Derek Davis or is that Bruce Forsyth? That looks like Bruce Forsyth.
No, that's Dinny.
Dinny.
Oh, Dinny, yeah.
Dinny.
And that's Twink.
Yeah. She's got hair like mine.
and that's Shane Ross's Ruth Buchanan.
Is that who that is? Ah.
I'm guessing.
I thought that was Maxie.
Oh well, it could well be Maxie. Yeah, maybe I'm.
No,
maybe.
But I think you're right though.
1983, yeah.
Yeah, and that's Bosco on the left.
Oh, I thought it was Simon Tuberty.
Yeah, but you did not know what was going on, lads. You didn't have the Christmas RT guide, am I right, Vanessa?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, no. I think it was the only kind of non-cork paper brought into the house once a year was the RT guide.
Do you feel deprived that you were denied Channel 4 and BBC and BBC 2 and UTV and maybe HTV and like
HTV, S4C.
I wouldn't say we were denied. We just didn't have them.
We didn't know any better, but when my grandparents,
you don't miss what you don't know about.
It was interesting. My grandparents, when they came back from Dagenham in the mid-70s, they got the aerial so that they could get the English, because they were over there for whatever 30 years, maybe more. So they were used to the English channel. So they'd come back to Cork and when they retired, and they had to get the aerial up. So like there was racing up to be nannies. Actually, and our Christmases were brilliant because my grandparents were in the house, whereas it was only fun in the house when they were around. You know, so.
You see, I do think there is a big divide between the two channel people. I mean, obviously the millennials, it doesn't count, but I mean the two channel people and the people, you know.
Maybe that's where this chip on the shoulder comes from, because we had to live with just RT1.
No, but an awful lot of people decided in Northern Ireland, and that's why the traditions are still kept alive in relation to storytelling, because they didn't have electricity when our parents were growing up. I don't think anywhere in Ireland.
That's probably why we all. Johnny, do you ever notice where we always win the sing song. The Dubs are shite at the sing song.
Yeah, but they got the best songs.
I wonder is that because they were so used to watching their fancy Channel 4 and their BBC Ones and their UTVs and their.
Well, the signal obviously was a big thing as well. We didn't have the signal. Now my mother was kind of like, television's the ruination of conversation kind of thing, and so we never had it when she was alive. But when she died, get it in quick. But no, not like that. But everyone had it at this stage. But there was a guy living up the road from us, and it was coming down on cable. He was an old IRA guy, and he cut the cable that was connecting. Like we were about 20 houses away from getting it because it was coming from a mast at the top of town. And he says, "Why did you cut it down?" He says, "I'll have no Brits going across my roof." So that was that. So we got it eventually. I don't know, I was about 16, but I'd missed it all by then.
You'd missed it all the Top of the Popses and the Tube and
Top of the Pops was on RT.
French Hill.
The old grey whistle test.
Top of the Pops on RT. Didn't have the old grey whistle test, no. I just started, I think it was the Word. I caught the Word.
The Word.
We pretty much got all those by 83, 84. We weren't too starved.
I don't think we were deprived, Vanessa. No, definitely not.
It's
a different culture. You're right, though. Good point, John. It is a different culture if you look at those people that were brought up in Channel Land, and because if you look at Dublin, essentially it's quite a UK city in relation to culture. But it's also an Irish city. Obviously, it's the best of both worlds, and it's got to do with that explosion of art from the UK in the 70s. I think that really hit the likes of Dublin, but didn't get much over the rest of the country. It did, of course. I'm not being so Neanderthal, but there's something there in your point.
I remember actually Sesame Street. Sorry, John, but Sesame Street was the big show for us, and I remember getting absolutely battered for saying A instead of A. But that was from Sesame Street. We used to say A, B, C instead of A.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I'd have to root out the picture, but I was
one of these kids is doing his own thing.
Sorry.
I was hanging out with one of the Sesame Street cast when I was doing a festival in Arizona this year, and she brought us into her workshop, her puppet workshop. So the lady plays one of the modern characters, the Muppet Julia, who has not Down syndrome, autism. So we were trying to get the gossip on what happens on
Big Bird
on the Sesame Street, but they said it's pretty lighthearted. But she had a Big Bird feather. I have the photograph. I was holding Big Bird's feather in my hand. It's very, 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 very surreal. But yeah, she didn't dish any dirt. She didn't dish any dirt on what goes on Sesame Street.
Ernie and Bert, are they brothers or gay?
Well, I felt the biggest.
Does it matter?
I think what matters. I always thought they were brothers. I thought
so did I. I thought they were brothers, but then there was this agenda. Then,
well, just looking back on a Saturday morning, for instance, when you were a kid, and BBC did really put a lot of effort into their Saturday morning swap shop and multicolored whatever. And
the producer is eating on air, John.
I have a box of heroes here.
The producer.
Are you whistleblower there now, Vanessa?
2017.
Hangman, Supergrass. I grew up in the 80s. It was a Supergrass.
No, that's what Johnny's smoking.
Yeah, that's what I'm smoking. Johnny took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think the greatest disparity was that. So you had Noel Edmonds and Mike Reid did the Saturday Superstore, and it was very slick, and you get the kind of all the Duran Duranis and the top acts, and then RTE had Anything Goes, which was Angus McAnally in two different coloured shoes.
Yellow and red, yeah.
Got me every time.
And
Crazy.
Is that a euphemism, Johnny?
A band, you just want to just run out of the room.
But Saturdays were brilliant, though, weren't they?
And then bits of Irish, and the RT one was so kind of weirdly educational and sort of, finger wagging and sort of, don't be doing that. Everything was, Angus McAnally, this sort of white afro, and it seemed like it seemed an unhealthy.
You're bringing us all down now, John.
Yeah. And the thing was, sorry, I'll just end on this. The thing was, it was called Anything Goes, but Anything didn't
Nothing
go.
did.
Everybody
False
was
advertising.
terrified.
Well, John, speaking as someone who appeared on Anything Goes as a 7-year-old, I can tell you they were a very nice bunch.
Yeah.
No. They brought you into the RTE canteen for some nosh before you went on the air.
I even got a roll of Anything Goes stickers. I was so.
Oh, he's well in there. You see, he's well in there. It's all that crowd there.
Now we know who the secret RTE producer is now.
But Mary always had one prepared earlier.
Come here, is that hamper, John? Is that Neil? Is the hamper there one for everyone in the audience?
That's a handmade hamper. I've actually taken the mince pies out, the Tesco mince pies. I was gonna sample one and see what it's like. Have the munchies now.
But you'd like, Jesus, there's none for the rest of us. Would you not wait for the Christmas dinner?
Did you not bring any mince pies to the telly tonight?
Just I'm only in the This is all I could do to find a clean jumper, which is stop it.
I'm gonna taste the Tesco one.
I'm waiting for the Dawn and Bailey's whipped cream. That only comes out for a week, isn't it?
John, a question on the live chat was making an inquiry. Was there Christmas bonuses for the contributors in Broadsheet this year?
In the pit?
Are you going to double our payments?
Yeah,
well, I mean, you didn't get the wire transfer already.
We have tough negotiations are left. We have the mediators coming in tomorrow. The Labour Relations Commission.
Broadsheet doesn't recognise the unions, so we've had to collectively get together as panelists.
We don't yet make money, so
we set up a Go Fuck It campaign.
Well,
go fund it. Sorry.
Given the number of male contributors there versus the number of female contributors, I've been
does that mean we can pay you less then, Vanessa?
I just wanted to say, actually, just on that.
My name is only on the wall a few weeks, so stop it.
Well, just on that, like. A broadsheet is just it's a really a platform, and the influence comes from the ground up. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, the way they say, oh, it's below the, you know, the commenters and all that, whatever. But that's where I know there's some troll issues, but apart from that, it's always come up from the ground up. Sorry, Mum, just babbling.
Yeah. Can I say, John, like on that sort of subject, that I think, you know, sort of, you probably don't say it enough that, you know, I mean, my guess, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but like my guess is that, you know, effectively, you know, sort of, you know, Broadsheet is a non-profit making sort of social platform that you're trying to sort of, you know, like bring some ideas to the fore, like have people whose voices don't normally get sort of voiced, you know, sort of like on a platform and this sort of thing. And I mean, it's maybe something you should even think about of like actually, you know, sort of writing up the tenets and the sort of the realities of you know what Broadsheet is, because I think it's, you know, it's a very honest endeavor, you know, but you know, sort of people don't know it a lot of the time, you know. There's a, you know, people sort of think, you know, well he's probably making money out of this or whatever, you know. I think it's quite an Irish sort of approach, but a lot of the time you can be doing things and not be fully appreciated for them, well, because people think that you have another angle.
Yeah, well, I guess, and that's, I mean, you know, you know, that's
trying to talk us out of our bonus there.
Yeah, this is because sadly,
look at that cashmere scarf he's got on. I mean, the money has to be going somewhere.
Well, I mean, you know, our first couple of years, we were selling a lot of ads, and we had local, like, it was selling, and then we got into the kind of stories, like with the Kate Fitzgerald story. As soon as that, we were involved in that. About a month later, the revenue just
all died.
It hollowed out completely. Actually, I mean, Michael McCool and Kim McCool we did the advertising, and it just like suddenly, and it was just so frustrating. I didn't sort of make the connection, believe it or not. I just thought, oh, maybe this is the economy, and it was a false dawn, and you know, we were popular, but we were still getting the same better stats, in fact. But stuff had stopped, it tailed off.
Well, the numbers are there in social. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, no, I think it's just it's a very, very long game, and it's an alternative platform for anybody, really. of any political persuasion except Nazis.
What
I'm
about
just like,
Scientology?
you know, if somebody wants to come on and explain Scientology, we would be happy. But and something like this is just like, in case something like the Francis Fitzgerald email comes out, we're there for kind of the dirty things in life as well. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we can. Anyway, I've said too much. Neil, produce me.
But
Okay.
I think, sorry, Neil.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Just on what Luke was saying, like, it is kind of interesting that you've been around for 7.5 years, and the numbers are kind of really kind of good for advertising revenue. But when you set yourself up for an open forum about honest discussion, and corporate advertising takes the high moral ground, I think it's absolutely hilarious. And there is nothing like Broadsheet, where people are allowed to have an opinion and state it accordingly, and hopefully not kind of fall out over it, but really address the issues that other shows aren't doing, especially the ones in the mainstream. But I know there's loads of shows like this all over the world. But I think it's not new to Ireland, but I think it's probably one of the best put together, and the sincerity behind it is consistent. And I think what we do on a Thursday night is really good. And it's after 40 odd weeks, it's great to be part of it. And especially around this time where we're kind of just chewing the cud, and we're not going for the. So we're taking the night
We're not
off.
getting a bonus, Johnny. Johnny, you can stop. We're not getting a bonus.
I think that's the Christmas will there.
You'll get the golden disc like you got last year.
Well, I'm here, lads. There's definitely.
Just dropping paper.
No, this is the Christmas conspiracy theory hat.
Well, it's not no. Well,
Half
I like
tin full of half.
a turkey. The buying, the people who buy the ads are sold to, by the same people. They're all buyers or whatever. So there's obviously something worth provoking and looking into why it suddenly stopped. A decision was made somewhere.
I don't know, but I mean, also you've got to say that Google and Facebook have just simply hoovered up all these ads. So the ads that are on the site, they're Google ads. Like we don't have a say over what they are, although we've said we won't.
Well, I think you need to have a sit down with your accountant and maybe we figure something out, Tom.
Once we get him out of rehab, we'll So anyway, no, he's not in rehab at all.
I'm worried how could he afford to be in rehab?
He should be.
Yeah, we're trying to get him.
Where did he get the money for rehab?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love money for rehab.
Yeah. How did he afford to get into such a state to get to me? These are the questions the tribunal will answer. We hope the tribunal will have an answer. But
Olga will report on it weekly on the site.
Yeah, Olga's actually not on a shift tonight. She's actually out with the girls.
Getting a proper shift.
No!
Hey, Olga.
Neil, stop that, please.
We're just sending her best wishes.
No, it's a girls' night out, girls' Christmas. It's a little woman's
Little girls' Christmas.
Careful now. Here we go.
They're celebrating at the right time, actually. Pre-Christmas. That's why
Christmas. Yeah.
I don't want to go back over that, but the little women's Christmas happening on the last day of Christmas when everybody's taking down the decorations is a poor choice of days, I think, for women.
The sales are on.
It's got fucking nothing to do with you. You don't put up your decorations. You don't do Christmas. You're not being invited out. So why are you even getting involved?
John, the builder's in. Be careful.
I'm taking a stand on behalf of the little women, who are not getting a look in.
Who are the little women, John?
Well, they're celebrating Christmas on the last day when everybody's thrown out.
Nana Aaron.
And taking out all the decorations. I mean, it's a terrible day. It's the worst, in fact, probably the worst day.
You don't even know what day it is.
It's January the 6th.
What date?
It's the 6th. And it's the worst day of the year. Think about it, because everybody's back to school, back to work, and little women are running around trying to.
So that means every day that's not the 6th of January is a good day.
No, it is probably the worst. If you think about it, after nobody wants turkey. What gift is one little woman going to get?
Hey, what does Miley Cyrus have for Christmas?
Her father's ponytail.
Turkey.
Vanessa, will you be celebrating? Little Women's Christmas?
Well, it might. It depends on who. If somebody wants to make it a nice day. You know.
What? Nobody knows what people do on Little Women's Christmas.
Oh yeah, there's masses and everything.
Masses?
Well, there'll be none of that.
Well, mass. There's a mass. There's songs to them. They're just looked after. Like
it's pretty much. Yeah, it's Ladies' Day. It's Ladies' Day, pretty much.
And does any of the panel do any charitable work on Christmas Day?
Not anymore.
Not on Christmas Day, but
I used to do the swims, but I stopped that a while back. No, but I am very active here in Crumlin Village. I'm director in the credit union, and I'm quite involved in the breakfast clubs here. I think that's a great activity. And actually, to see the Christmas tree that melted.
The little fire.
Yeah.
Tell me, Vanessa, when you swam on Christmas Day, was that for charity?
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
All right.
So but I keep all my charity now local.
Keep it local, yeah.
It's volunteer hours. I get tapped with a few bob every now and again, but I prefer to be my hours locally here. In the I do. I have a pretty hectic pro bono case file portfolio as well. Yeah.
There was one funny year. Well, one Christmas, my mum decided to invite for Christmas dinner a lot of Nigerians who were sort of taking asylum in Ireland. I think it was year 2000 or so, and it was all very entertaining. I used to work with Ericsson, so I'd actually worked in Nigeria a little bit, so I sort of had a bit of background there. But one of the women that came along actually went into labour at Christmas dinner.
Oh, brilliant!
So
baby Jesus.
It was the baby would be what?
I knew he was a black man. He was too
16, 17 years old now. But that was an exciting Christmas.
That's
now,
amazing.
John, if you thought the 22nd of December for your birthday was bad, John, think of that poor child.
That's tough. Shane McGowan's birthday is Christmas Day as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he usually.
Yeah, but he's
every day is his birthday.
I'm gonna say
Christmas is great. All the royalties.
I never saw that as a Christmas song until I lived in Africa as well, Luke, and that was when the Irish get together for a sing song. Fairy Tale New York was an all year round song, and then when it came back home to Ireland, it was only a Christmas song, and I'd never seen it as a Christmas song up to that.
And
I still don't.
Your summers were bereft of.
It was Christmas Eve, babe, in the drum tank.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. You watch Die Hard all year round. It doesn't mean...
Die Hard is not a Christmas film. Let me just throw it out there.
Well, Vanessa may not have seen Die Hard.
Another one. I have seen Die Hard. Of course, I've seen Die Hard.
And
Just checking.
Luke, tell me about then your travels. If Portugal doesn't work out, would you go elsewhere?
Well, I've always sort of wanted to go to Japan. That's sort of somewhere that
I've been to Japan.
Do you like it? Vanessa, did you like it?
Well done. Carry on, Luke.
But no, I just sort of like I said, obviously the interest, my parents sort of into the ceramics and all that. So that all comes from Japan, and I think they have a sort of like a 2,000-year-old sort of perspective on sort of making things, design, and just sort of a sense their particular way of ordering the world that I think is really interesting, because it's sort of otherworldly as far as I can see. I've never been there.
There's an interesting dynamic with the way men and women work in the workplace. So I've done business in Japan, and things like if your boss is younger than you, that would be frowned upon. and that whole honor thing. And also, I've seen some Japanese people told me that when women have their first baby, they're expected to give up on their careers. So yeah, an interesting dynamic. No, I've never been there, but I have talked to people.
Luke, what happened to the baby who was born at your dinner table?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I suppose that's a mystery to solve, you know. But like I said, I suppose the baby's going to be, you know, sort of. I think it was year 2000, so 17 this year. So that's a young man or woman.
We could put a stalker post up on Broadsheet.
What is the baby Jesus?
They're not technically stalker posts. They're just people.
No, wouldn't that be cool? Seriously though.
Lost and found.
Yeah,
What do they call it? Misconnections.
Well, worry about Will and Janet. Maybe Will didn't want to be found. We were worried that, you know, this guy could be married and whatnot, and what's the story? He's got about 50 Janets on the go, and it's all going to.
I know she hasn't come on. We want her to come on. We won't. Don't say things like that.
John, that's a very conspiratorial mind you have.
We were thinking, yeah, that's Bodger though. Anyway,
but Luke, there was a really good video I seen lately. You'd love it if you haven't seen it already. It's just this guy, Irish guy in America, decided to quit his job and to go traveling.
I did see that.
7 years, and I mean, he made a poem about it, and he just showed it. Oh, wasn't it fantastic?
Well, amazing.
It would give you amazing lust for life after.
And I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I'm not going away with any sort of clear idea of even what I'm going to do, but I just think it's nice. Change is good. You know, it's good to sort of like change what's in your day, what sort of, you know, what sort of activities you're taking on, even sort of like not having so much deadline based stuff. I think it's good to change that out a bit every now and again, and just sort of see where that goes.
And you've traveled already, like, but you know yourself, being Irish is an amazing passport. You know, wherever you go in the world, everyone knows the Irish. You know, like Bobby Sands, there's a street named after in Tehran, for example.
Yeah.
So everyone knows the Irish for good reasons. Like,
yeah. Well, one of my favorite trips was, you know, I went over to the States, and you know those like you do an Amtrak pass like for 3 weeks. It's only like $200 or $300. You can get your a train pass all around the States, and they do this wonderful thing where they have this sort of communal dining thing on the dining cars. So basically, every 4 people they lump in together. You know, so you're getting to sit down and have meals with like 3 other people every time. And it's amazing how people respond to the Irish accent. You know, I mean, there's like pretty much, I would say every time I sat down, people were like sort of, you know, impressed and sort of enthralled and sort of, you know, wanting to hear all about Ireland, and sort of they had some sort of connection or whatever.
Yeah, that's why we're
really lucky.
That's why, we're very lucky, and that's why, you know, with things like the gathering, we've got to be so careful about how we market Ireland. You know, we can't be shaken down to, you know, it has to be, because as you say, when you're on the trains of that around the world, they do respond, and the stuff they respond to is nothing to do with Ireland Inc. or Jesus, weren't we you know, we bought Park Lane, you know, all that kind of
none of that.
It's just a connection.
Well, it also, you know, I've often said that I think I might have said it on a show. I think Foreign Affairs and the Department of Enterprise are our most important ministries, actually, because you were saying about marketing Ireland abroad, and I always thought that title was wrong. You know, I always thought it should have been like, you know, the expression Cranú, the gathering. You know, Cranú na Maud, you know, the gathering of the boats is quite common festival in some fishing villages.
They were throwing money at people during the gathering, though. And all you had to do was
I didn't get any.
It was pocket money, Neil. You know, for the big productions, I was trying to get in around it. They would give me 250, and the amount of work and the effort I wanted to put into it. No,
I know people who got 500 quid per so many people and there was people having family reunions and they applied for grants and they got them.
It was a very weird time. It was also during the global conference or whatever nonsense.
The global.
Formerly, do you remember the global Irish conference? And they set up.
And the Skilling as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, they set up.
Sorry.
They set up a thing called worldirish.net or .com or something, and it was going to be the Irish Facebook, and 3 million or something was spent. I know this because we had launched Broadsheet, and we were like struggling. It's always been a struggle, but you know, it was just these lavished this money on this site. God knows what happened to it. I don't even know what happened to it. Did it ever exist beyond an idea?
But
All these are ideas. Artie had a brilliant idea there as well. The best idea. I remember Grania Shoga was presenter and some other guy. And we want your best ideas. I think this was the millennium, or shortly afterwards. And I think they invested in 2 IT companies. But I think that was the last of it. So I don't know. But there was a big, huge hoo-ha from months on end to give us your ideas. It's the same kind of thing with the gathering. What else came after the gathering?
Didn't
The
gathering come
rising,
out
the same
Sorry,
thing.
Luke. Johnny.
No. Sorry.
Luke, please. Sorry, Johnny.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, didn't the gathering come out of the sort of that big, sort of recession conference where David
Yes.
McWilliams and others sort of got together and said, like, here's our ideas.
let's save Ireland.
Let's get us out of the hole. Yeah.
Yeah, and sorry, Johnny, I didn't mean to.
No, I know exactly.
It's an important point. The gathering guy is the head of this 5 million spin unit. Just.
And do you know what?
That was regarded as a success. I actually think that did a huge amount of damage in the States. Frankly. Sorry, Vanessa.
No, don't apologize. Do you know what? What one of the worst things they did was they got rid of the @Ireland email address. Because do you remember the
Irish Times said that.
Yeah, but the Irish Times it was bought out by, I think it was Fudge Ireland or something like
Ireland,
that.
yeah.
And that was an incredible tool. I used @Ireland.com.
Yeah, I don't know.
For years, and the worst thing is they didn't allow you actually kind of access it afterwards either, so you could kind of retrieve stuff. But that was a ridiculous thing to do. Was one of the best outreaches we have is our email address.
Well, an incredible thing happened. An incredible thing happened in the internet in the early days in Ireland. Like the Irish Times were so ahead; they were globally ahead of a lot of papers, and then they just lost their way in terms of their.
Oh, the Examiner. Examiner was online over 20 years ago. I remember somebody contacted me and they were asking me, "Oh, are you Vanessa Foran from such and such?" And I was looking at just right from the Cork Examiner chat room, and this was way over 20 years ago.
Oh God!
Yeah, because I used to have I had CC Mail.
Are you depressed that it's now in Dublin hands, the paper, the echo and the
Echo. As long as they don't touch the sport, I don't mind, or the font, I don't mind.
What's the Christmas one? The Holly Bow or the
Holly Bow?
Is that owned by these? That's owned by the Echo, isn't it?
Well, they're all from the same. Well, I just know them as coming from the Crosby family, but the offices were brilliant because when the Cork team came home with the cup, well, it hasn't happened in a while, but we all met down there in front of they had a little balcony over an old door, and that's where they all were, and that's where we all hung out, and I suppose all that's gone, but you said in a show a while back, John, that, print media is gone. So,
well, yeah, I mean,
keep a monster like the Examiner going is probably not going to survive, in the long run.
And I suppose like the alternative is that sort of it goes like into the other like independent sort of pen, and that's not good for anyone.
Yeah. The Irish Times said, "Oh, this is great for media diversity." I don't know what the Irish Times buying the Irish Examiner is doing.
Well, how can it be diverse if it has the same owners?
It just doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, and also,
they probably mean like the independent group not buying it up.
They probably sell off all the regional papers and just stick to the.
Well, you see, I wouldn't do that because I think the real answer is local, and it's like shows like this, and it's like sites like where it's citizen journalism mixed with, decent ethics and decent sort of integrity or whatever, and I just don't see a day that you can afford to pay people like the night editor 150 grand. It's just like crazy. Because what's going to pay for that? There's only so much property advertising, you can squeeze out of the economy.
They'll do what they do, John, and Broadsheet does what it doesn't. It's changing. So I don't see any future for print media either.
Well, I don't know about print. I mean, and they said about vinyl. I mean, vinyl is huge now, and vinyl is back.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
print.
I think print will also give you that.
But I'm just saying,
that
in some shape or form, because the internet's capable of imploding anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, I know. I
No,
saw
I
the.
doubt that. No, I don't mean it like that, but you know, it's going to change again. It's going to change back exactly on that point, John. Baby, or retro still comes back.
You look
Sorry, I saw the numbers on the Irish Examiner like a month or two ago, and I mean it was like startling stuff. I mean it was sort of readership halving in like 10 years sort of stuff, and you can't really sort of like that's an environment where things just die, and maybe not the Examiner, but the smaller sort of papers and whatever, they're just sort of there's a culling on the way,
Yeah.
Can bring it back to Christmas there for a second. Do you remember when you were in national school and you got the little Christmas? Was it a spree called
Spree.
Solace?
No, I have it there.
Ah, no way. That was excitement. I used to love getting that.
Yeah. You see, that's
books are coming back as well.
There
John.
you go.
But can I say something? Do you know what I'd love to read? I'd love to read a children's book by a kid. Wouldn't that be revolutionary? I'm sure it's been done, but we don't have enough of them.
As opposed to a stand-up comic and
Exactly.
Actually, well, do you mind if I butt in? Just give me 60 seconds, guys. Last week in the papers, there was a statistic that I didn't get to pluck out with all the arguing, but it said that there's only 4 physics teachers in training at the moment on the HDIP, and that's quite dangerous for future of our families, our kids, whatever. So only 4.
We won't know what's up from down now.
All the apples are falling sideways.
Well,
I didn't hear it.
Vanessa, show us your spree. Or solace, which is it?
that's James.
Not a euphemism.
1972.
No, I didn't have that one. But that's James. It's brilliant, wasn't it? Little stories, colouring, join the dots.
That was the one thing. It was one thing we always got on Christmas morning. All the annuals were there. The Bunties and the Mandies and they were always there. Yeah, the price tag's still on them.
But I think because we all got it at the one time in the class where I was, we all had to go up and pay for it, whatever it was, 25 pence. But we'd all go through it at the one time, so there was a real kind of communion of Christmas.
Neil, I wasn't allowed to get them because we weren't rich because I went to school in Tala.
No. I know.
Did you get milk bottles, little milk bottles, Neil?
No, I wasn't allowed to get one. I could never understand it.
You weren't that poor, sir.
Neil,
anyway, can I just bring it back to me for a sec? Just if anyone's looking to buy books for people, this is one of Darrow Breen's books for sign.
Was it Egghead?
Yeah, and also after Christmas they do some very good lectures on, I think it's BBC Two. So they are very good. So just to encourage more people into science, particularly women. So there's an event
that takes place.
It doesn't have to be this book, but just maybe there's loads of really fun science books for kids, like 6,000 disgusting things about snot and stuff like that. Kids love that. All right. All yours now, boys.
There's a science event that takes place, or there's a science and comedy night that takes place around the country called Bright Club, and they get a blend of scientists and academics and comedians who do. It's a really lovely night. It's kind of a very supportive. They call it actually, I'm going to mess it up. Comedy for Intelligent People or something like that. It's very, very good, and they've had some great names take part in it. So check it out on the Google machine.
Where's that?
It's called Bright Club. They do it in Dublin. They do it in Galway. It's on monthly. It's really great. I did a set at it because people said, "Oh, you do improv. You should do stand up." So I have no interest in stand up, but I did a set at it just to say I've done it.
Was it
really
nice? What did you kill or did you die?
I talked about my my fear of flying. I fly so much, and I fucking hate flying. And so I talked about that and how I've dealt with that.
Can I say just on the book front, and I think you're right, Johnny. I think like books are important. You know, I was at a book launch during the week. There was a guy. You know, like I said, I'm into the sort of whole sort of history of ceramics in Ireland, and there's a guy called John French who sort of put a good stint in. He worked with my father down in Kilkenny, and also you know, sort of became a sort of a very prominent sort of you know, sort of potter, sculptor, artist. And there's a lovely book, Gandon Press, or Gandon Editions down in Cork, who do a lot of books on sort of art and architecture. Like they produced a book this thick, you know, which is you know, by a guy called Peter Lamb, you know, and it's a real sort of it's a third of an encyclopedia, but it's just great to see like people recording our history with these books, you know.
Yeah.
That, like, you know, I was talking to the publishers, you know, and like they're literally like ringing up, you know, individual sort of independent bookstores to say, do you want 5 copies? You know, they don't even have the sort of margin to sort of work through a distributor. You know, they're sort of like really putting their heart and soul into these things. And what they're doing is they're recording like our history and our heritage, you know, and there has been a big swing, you know, even sort of like, you know, away, you're talking about vinyl. Same thing with books, where people thought, well, the Kindle's coming in and it's dying off, and there's been a backlash, you know, and people want a really nice, well-made book now, and that's great. You know, it's great news.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting.
Books are quite unique now. They're quite unique now in a house. You know, there's not the whole rows and rows of books that we would have grown up with 30 years ago. Yeah. John. It's 30 years ago, John. Don't be letting on it's only 20. And whereas in the last 15 years, you know, the numbers that books are more. Do you know what? They started calling them coffee table books. They're such a novelty now. They're big, huge, big picture things. You know, so
give me a Kindle. Give me a Kindle any day. This nonsense.
Well, I think there's a lot of joy to be got from sort of like, you know, sort of actual sort of like print you can hold in your hand. I mean, I've done a little bit of sort of like printing myself, just with, I don't know if you know that crowd, Damn Fine Print. They do like screen printing and stuff like that.
Yeah. We've had them on the site.
Yeah, great people, you know, and they're not only are they printing, but they organize, you know, workshops, and they all, you know, do courses and stuff like that. And like the difference between like a well-printed book and, you know, just sort of reading something on a Kindle is huge. You know, the amount of enjoyment you can get from it, there's a richness there.
Yeah, but is this not a bit of a why in my day kind of conversation we're in the process of having? Like, if you, I know what you're saying, but you know, from my perspective, I like to be able to travel and have all my books and something I can fit in my pocket. But is this the same argument that people had about music quality back in the day, but nobody cared because it was the convenience of CDs that won over in the end, and now MP3s?
I don't know. I suppose there could be a personal preference, but like, I mean, I have books that like sort of, I'll come home and I'll sort of like, you know, they're well-made books. They have really nice pictures, and obviously the content's good as well. But like, I can just sit down and I can sort of, you know, like read them, you know, sort of all the time, and they give me sort of instant joy, you know. And so it's great to have that as an alternative to, I don't know, we can, you know, especially with social media and stuff like that, we can very easily get sucked into that sort of thing. And books are a great, you know, real analog sort of world outside that.
Yeah, I must say, I mean, in terms of older paperbacks, I recently got a copy of Conor Cruise O'Brien's The States of Ireland, and just the leading and the typeface, and there was something about, and also about the kind of feel of the paper.
The smell of the paper.
We just stuff.
Well, the National Print Museum as well, like in Ballsbridge, like they're fantastic. They run courses. I've done a number of courses in there as well, and they're just great people. That they'll like they go through different things. But you can even go in there and you can, you know, sort of, I think they're free every Sunday or something like that.
Yeah, they got the proclamation there as well, don't they?
Yeah, and you can go in and they'll explain letterpress to you, and they'll sort of you can even have a go of printing out a sample page, and it's like, when you actually sort of when they show you the difference between sort of like digital print and analog print, you just realize, okay, well, there's actually something special here, you know.
Yeah, and if like even scientists, I mean, it's all energy, isn't it? And if you're getting the kind of, this is you know, years and years of people reading it and touching it, and you know.
Yeah.
Neil, you're very smart.
A day will come, and it won't be our generation, but the next generation perhaps, where kids will be like, "Oh, my day, it's just a feel of being behind the steering wheel of a car and holding the gear stick in your hand. It's just not the same." The leather on the
I'd
gear
never go off, Mike.
I have to do
Lads,
the papers, but could you
We'll fill while you're doing that.
Great.
Chris Kindle, lads. Who would you like to get in a Chris Kindle, and what would you get them? Anna has someone from 2017. Who's someone from the news in 2017?
Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead O'Connor.
What's
Why
she
was
doing?
that?
I get her.
What?
Well, because she's brilliant. She's I know it's probably professed exodus she's on, but she's out of the country. She shouldn't be out of the country. She shouldn't be away from her kids at Christmas. And she made a very heartfelt plea in relation to her psychological issue at the time. And I think most people embraced it. The girl just needs a hug. And the only thing she ever did wrong was call out pedophiles in the Catholic Church. That's all she ever did. And she was lambasted and ostracized by the powers that be in this country. So I'd love to see Sinead O'Connor back amongst her family for Christmas.
What would you get her for a present? What would you get her for a present?
I'd take it home.
Ah, Johnny Yell softy.
No, I think she's brilliant, and she's one of the best things that Ireland has in relation to ambassadors. So, and she needs a helping hand. I think everyone should be kind of thoughtful of someone like her, outside of their own immediate family and that. But she needs a safe place, and I think Ireland has always been a safe place for her. And that's the thing about when you're away for Christmas, you realise exactly what an Irish Christmas is. It's unique in its own right, and she'll know that. She won't want to be out for Christmas.
Luke, what about yourself?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of blown away with Johnny. I think Johnny's like sort of dead right, and it's sort of there's just been like I grew up in Dunleary, so she was only like 2 or 3 miles up the road, and she, sort of I think like what she did sort of creatively in her career is amazing, but like so ahead of her time in terms of like people sort of and to be ripping up pictures of the Pope for a good reason and having actual sort of things to say, and actually really like she's really sort of at the forefront of sort of so much stuff. I mean, it's funny you said she should give her a hug. I mean, like I think the world's sort of lacking in hugs. I think Donald Trump, he needs a hug. That's what's.
Oh Jesus! I wouldn't touch him. I wouldn't touch him with yours. Christ.
That's the problem. That we have to sort of somehow, like we're only encouraging him by sort of being angry.
That's true.
Yeah, you're right, Luke. Yeah.
Vanessa.
Yeah. What are you asking me?
Yeah, Chris Kringle. Who do you want to get? Oh, sorry, Luke. What would you get? What's the gift you'd get?
For Sinead.
A hug.
Oh, for Donald.
So hug.
Oh,
Hug for Donald.
But you'd get all the fake tan on you.
Orange toast.
Vanessa, what would you? Who's your Chris Kringle?
Well, I thought about this, right? I did think about this, and I thought I'd like John. Preposterous, Ryan. And I thought I'd get him a clock.
Oh,
an alarm clock.
An alarm. Why would you get him an alarm clock, Vanessa?
No, I thought about that, and then I thought, what was the best thing that happened to us this year was, I think it was, well, I know you guys were on the show longer than I, and I kind of came in as a one-off, and then you couldn't get rid of me. But then I thought about the best thing that happened, and then I decided it was Broadsheet Baby, and it was the best thing, and with her bugaboo. So I got her Chris Kingle here.
Oh, it's for Sadie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
Vanessa.
So will I open it?
Vanessa.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's the opening, not the receiving.
It's a real bugaboo hat. It's got the big, rodent type bobble out there, and it's a special baby size,
So she'd look great going around Dundrum Shopping Centre with her.
She could use it as a sleeping bag.
So I thought that was the best one we had. I thought it was it's everyone else will get a mention except Broadsheet Baby. So we might, yeah.
Well,
So
Sadie,
I thought
yeah.
I decided that we changed the bugaboos and everything else that for Niall getting the land of his life and all his poor stretch marks and everything, so I thought
I'm glad somebody's recognizing the plight of the man.
He did, exactly. He did it all himself, so I figured it was Sadie deserved the best.
Well,
You're
Neil
very
works
good.
really hard. He's not even have time to put his trousers on right, like, so. I've
That's
had
it.
Neil.
John, who?
He's got very small trousers, so there mustn't be much down there. That's all I'm saying.
He's a one-legged man. John, John, who's your Chris Kindle, and what would you get them?
Oh, gosh, I thought Johnny's.
I didn't think about that. I don't know where that came from. Obviously, somewhere back in mind. So sorry to set the tone in relation to Sinead O'Connor. But
No.
If anyone knows Sinead O'Connor, send her that snippet of Johnny talking like that. She'd like that, I'm sure.
Sinead, you can stay in our house if you like.
Don't get creepy, Johnny. Let's write that.
Let's draw the line.
Let Sinead be a lesson to all. The way we lay into Bodger for his conspiracy theories and all that. I mean, they were laying into Sinead about conspiracy theories 20 years ago as well. So they turned out to be. Sorry.
So, John, who's your Chris Kindle, and what would you get them?
Oh, I want to. My Chris Kringle would be Rotide on the site. And I'll tell you why. Because
don't.
No, we've been talking about trolls, and they're all trolls. And this person's a troll. Everybody's a troll and whatnot. But like Rotide, in my view, was a bloody troll, and probably remains a troll. Actually, wasn't a troll, but it was like, this person is necessary, because sometimes he was right, often he was right. And for the many times I've cursed under my breath at Rotide, I'd like to get him a pint or whatever, right wing thing he wants to do. I'll that'll be my gift to him. Marine Le Pen autographed calendar for 2017, or Macron naked or whatever. But anyway, so Rotide, what do you think of that? I mean, because the troll.
What would you buy him? Exactly. Again.
The point was that trolls can become good friends. Sometimes not good friend. But what I'm saying is that one man's troll is another man's,
Exactly. Exactly what Luke said. The season of goodwill. Give Trump a hug, because you wouldn't be expecting it. You got to embrace these people that you don't agree with, and that's how we're only going to move forward together. So, and that's the season of goodwill. So, I appreciate that. What Luke and yourself said there.
You disagree with it can sometimes be right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I'm not going to spend any money on Rotide, by the way. Let's not go overboard. Maybe we'll talk about it next year.
It's the thought that counts.
I want to very.
Wait, I have to give mine, John. I have to give mine.
Of course, sorry, Neil. I was going to ask you that. Sorry, go on.
Right, Neil's the producer, John. Now,
Get fired.
Don't be stepping on toes.
Mine's going to be very underwhelming after all of that, but I kind of have two. One is I'd get Olga a gold card for coppers, so that she can, spend less time in the tribunals and more time getting a real
with the lads.
With the lads. But no, the person I'd get is Tara Flynn, and I think Tara has done Trojan work online and in other areas, and talking about the repeal of the 8th and her own experience of what she's gone through. And she's got a torrent of abuse online, and then she was mentioned in Dáil Éireann with a list of politicians, like undeservedly. And I do know Tara in real life, but I was at EP. I was doing a thing at EP a couple of years ago, and I literally stumbled into a tent, and she was talking with Colin O'Gorman from Amnesty Ireland about her experience live, and it was moving me to tears. Listening to her, and I think she's done an incredible job at raising awareness. And there was a tweet in particular she mentioned about, you can't sit on the fence on an issue like this. And yeah, that's who my Chris Kindle will be. I have no idea. I can't top Johnny's with what kind of present or gift I'd give her, but it would be something profound, and maybe Johnny could tell me what that is. So that would be who I would get.
A hug as well, I'd say.
Well, I think she's the one hugging us.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one.
Nobody wants to buy me presents.
Well, I've got a Stretch Armstrong you can have.
Vanessa, I would only on post
Oh, actually, I have
the Christmas cheer, and they've put up the price of stamps. So
no, honey, I have a present for you. Actually,
really? Oh.
Yeah, I do. I had it out, and I'll find it there while John's doing the papers.
Okay, I was wondering.
Oh my God! Thanks,
oh yeah,
Vanessa.
here's his.
Neil.
Do you remember our night out? You see that on the camera there? Do you remember the Dacia? But do you remember the ska night? Remember the ska one?
Yeah. You got the squares.
Yeah, so I have that for you. I figured I could keep it in a drawer here, but I think you'd probably respect it more and get more fun out of it. So that's, remember we went. We went and did our trench town and our
Bionic Rats.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Neil,
you're darling. Cheers.
I was wondering, Neil, if do you know how to screen share on the Hangout?
Let me see. I can work this out. So I have to do it. I don't want you to be looking at all the porn I've opened and all the other tabs. Make sure.
What did I tell you, joke, lads? Why can't Mary? What did you say?
I said me and Johnny are no fap. We were on no fap.
I got no presents. No presents.
Yeah, if we all pull together, we can have a white Christmas then.
Yes.
Johnny, how many glasses of that funk have you had?
Listen, I put up the papers.
If you give me access, I can share a screen.
Oh yeah. If you just go on to Broadsheet.ie, the papers will be up there.
You're doing it. We're online, lads.
You know something? There's very little on the papers. Laws failed to tackle unfair work practices. Oh yeah, Bill entirely dodges if and when contracts claims. Okay.
Hey Johnny, how does Good King Wenceslas like his pizzas?
We're doing one of these songs actually. Someone else told me, but I won't do it. Go on.
One that's deep and even.
That's brilliant.
Classic.
That's brilliant. I'd like to say, there, Neil.
I worked it out, yeah. So I'll probably have to go through them, otherwise it'll just default to you, John. So, as you said, laws fail to tackle unfair work practices. I have no idea what this is about. John, do you know about this?
Yeah, it's a bill to stop 0-hour contracts, and the problem is that there's a few holes in it. You know, it's like it's what we've been banging on about for a few years actually on the site. Eamon Kelly and Martin McMahon as well.
That's why Dunn's went on strike.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
Okay. Then also the Leo's welfare cheat us all campaign comes back to haunt them, and is it him that's saying that it was a mistake? No, it's an official
head of revenue.
Okay, yeah. So that's good. Hobbs, one of Eddie Hobbs' companies, has gone under today. I'm making a big loss for investors. Tourism Ireland out of this world. We're catching up with the phenomenon that everyone was doing last year of sending stuff up into one of the higher atmospheres. And there was a Garda raid where 2 people were shot. Now, is this the one where there was a guard shot? Is this the same story?
There was no critical injuries on them. I think they were just sort of glanced, but it was a teenager and it was a guard apparently came upon, or they were it was like a drug house, past alleged drug house, and it had a reinforced door.
Yeah, Dan.
And there was a shot. I think the officer was shot somehow through the door, and then they got into the house, and then the kid was, or this teenager was shot in the house. So,
Are they both okay?
yeah, they're both fine. I mean, they're both not even in hospital, I don't think.
Good.
So, moving down to the Times Irish edition, there's a Star Wars quiz which Vanessa won't look at. TD defends.
Sorry, I'll give it a go. Go on, ask me a question.
Question 1: have you seen Star Wars?
No,
TD defends.
That's right. That's right.
TD defends letter used in court by lawyers for jailed dissidents. Letter from Eamon O'Queeve was presented to the Special Criminal Court by lawyers for a real IRA member. Trouble Amnesty may breach rights laws. So this is to do with Brexit and the military. I actually haven't heard that one at all.
No.
Brexit border deal could be hours away. Well, we'll wait and see what the morning brings us. I don't know if that is the case, but we are in interesting times. There's the California, those wildfires are in the news again. There was a video doing the rounds today of somebody rescuing a rabbit from the fires. It was quite a surreal, surreal clip to see.
Somebody mentioned the Liffey guy, the rabbit guy, who's now living by on the canal, the Royal Canal, at the bridge, at Harold's Cross Bridge. And the Polish community there gave him a tent.
Yeah.
So EU expects to sign a deal today. Listen, will we call it a night, guys? It's we were over 2 hours at this.
Can I just go back there to the news item where they're saying the cheaters cheat us all was a mistake? Isn't that a good thing that they've actually admitted that we got it wrong?
Yeah.
Or am I just being nice?
Yeah, no, I think, but it shows how much the civil service don't like the revenue.
Don't like Leo.
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying? Yeah.
Well, it could well be, but I was delighted that somebody said something at a higher level, but maybe this is candid.
Yeah,
Everything that's went on
I think
this
it's
year.
good, and it was only all this year. Like we haven't had to wait 15 years for fucking tribunal or the Auditor Controller General to say
the welfare chief.
But this campaign cost us 6 million, but we only got 600 grand in.
There's a swing in the turn, and the season of goodwill, which we discussed already, and there's a great gig happening on Wednesday outside Dáil Éireann, or Tuesday, a good sing song from the people who brought you Apollo House. There's going to have Terry what's his face?
Terry McMahon.
Terry McMahon going to be saying a few things.
So we're afraid to say that too.
Glenn Hanser, the great Glenn Hanser, is going to sing a few songs. That's going on outside Dáil Éireann on the Tuesday. You have it up anyway, John, on the sheet.
Are you going to be there, Johnny?
I don't know. It's a big deal at the moment for me to get anywhere, Vanessa. Well, I wouldn't mind going. That's a free gig.
I'm checking the diary. Hey, I'm free.
Tuesday. See you up at the front. See you at the crash.
I'll give you your bracelet.
Yeah.
Will Bono do the annual Grafton Street thing this year, I wonder?
Joe Duffy does that.
I beg your pardon?
Joe Duffy does Grafton Street and
Bono does it as well.
Mrs. Brown.
Bono did it last year.
Does he?
He did it with Glenn Hansard and Imelda May.
They used to do it every year for Simon Community, yeah?
Is he with Glenda now? Is he, John?
No,
John's great man for all the gossip.
Glenn Hansard.
Is Glenn with Glenda?
Who's what?
No, he's not.
Who's with Glenda?
No, I said Glenn Hansard. I meant Glenn Hansard and Imelda May. Stop it now, Vanessa. Stop it.
On that bit of
Can I give one shameless plug, John? Sorry, you put it up it was up on the sheet.
I want to plug.
Tomorrow, 2 improv events on tomorrow. All the profits go to Crumlin Hospital. Rather than taking your money and just donating it, we're actually going to buy toys with the profits and distribute them to the sick kids pretty close to Christmas. So we're going to go into the hospital, do a bit of improv with them, and deliver presents to them. But tomorrow we're doing a family improv show, so bring your kids and family. It's all safe, family-friendly entertainment. That's at 5:30 in the Pierce Centre Theatre. And then later that night we have our Christmas Jumper Jam, where you can come along, take part, or just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And that's at 8 o'clock in the Pierce Centre Theatre. Thank you.
Okay. Can I do a really nice
adult,
plug?
Neil, isn't the second one?
The 8 o'clock show is adults only, over the age of 18. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Vanessa.
Can I do it? And this is a good plug, right? I was down work. I had an emergency case today, and I was down, and I saw these little trees in the housing office, and I robbed one on the idea that I drop it back tomorrow. It turned out these are for sale on Christmas Eve. Huh?
But now
and then I burnt it. No, but what turned out is that they were making these to sell for €20 in the daycare centre in Kildare Town on Christmas Eve. They do this breakfast for the people that they use the daycare centre, and it goes and they raise at least 5,000 every year. But also, did you know, John, that the European Emergency Response Unit for sick reindeer this year is in Kildare Town? And the courthouse is being taken over next week to be converted. And it's going to have all the blood banks for all the different blood types of each of the reindeer. And all the vets in Kildare are going to be on site.
Okay.
As Santi passes over Kildare, over Europe.
Right. That's why we're talking
on the night.
Okay.
One plug, John.
Please, Johnny.
So the reindeer hospital this year is in Kildare Town, so everyone should go down and see it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm really sorry.
I think there was a time when everything happened in Dublin.
I know, they're disgusted. That's why John's got a snot on there now.
Well, do you know what I said? We should all kind of shop local where possible. And Luke, I'm thinking, did you make that jumper yourself?
I didn't. It's a handmade jumper.
It's the kind of thing you do, isn't it?
I have made jumpers in the past.
Okay. No, I just admire it. It's nice. And as is yours, Neil. But here's the thing.
I made this.
A friend of mine, it was actually on the Late John. It's a small mantelpiece, but when you go to bed at night, wait for Santa, the mantelpiece becomes big. That's made in Ireland, and one of my friends is behind it. And I haven't the name of the actual toy at the moment, but I'll send you the link. It's definitely worth getting.
Okay. As plugs go, that's a pretty bad plug.
Sorry, man.
Lads,
really bad.
I made this.
I'll put it in the comments.
And it's very lovely, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you to Johnny Keenan in Kilkenny, to Luke Brennan in Dunleary, to Neil Curran in Dublin, who produced the show tonight and did all the hard work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And Vanessa. I hope, like to say hello to Janet as well. I hope maybe next week. And
we're expecting an invite.
I hope it's all going well with Will. And to everybody, Broadsheet readers, commenters, everybody, thank you so much. See you on the site tomorrow or here next week. Thank you so much. Bye now.
Shlán.
Can I do have time for one more joke?